Hello, friends. Hello, friends. How are we doing? If you're watching the replay, thank you for being here. My name is Svava Brooks. I'm abuse survivor coach, and I love to support my fellow survivor thrivers on the healing journey to restore our hearts and our minds and our spirits after child abuse or trauma. If this is your first time here, thank you so much. Again, if you're here live, please say hello so we can welcome you. Hey, friend Wanda, how are you doing? But on our chat here, we are working our way through my book, one day, one page at a time. And some days it feels like one breath at a time. So Releasing Your Authentic Self, my book, is a workbook, and you can find it. Thank you, sweet friend. You can find it on Amazon or Kindle, and please check out my website, svavabrooks.com, with more information about how you can join our community. Because healing is hard enough, it's easier. It makes it easier when we have a community, right, to support us. So thank you, sweet Wanda. You like my blouse? It's actually a dress. So it's supposed to be the Northern Lights. Don't know if you can see it, but being that I'm from Iceland, born and raised, but coming to you today, right, from Portland, Oregon, I'm a huge fan of the Northern Lights. Even better, exactly. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed today because last time we were here on Tuesday, we lost sound. Halfway into our live stream, YouTube said no sound. So we ended up moving over to Periscope. So I'm so glad you're here. And to my Periscope friends, I am running the live chat over on YouTube. Hey, Sue. We would love to have you there if you want to join the conversation. But thank you so much for being here on Periscope and watching. And thank you for perhaps sharing this message if it inspires you and moves your heart. So how are we doing today, friends? I don't know about you, but it feels like a lot of us, a lot of people are going through some deep layers right now. Some lot of heavy lifting going on in people's lives. And like I say, we make plans, but then life happens. And the healing journey is very much a part of that. So we do our best, right, Sue? Some days, just doing the best we can. Beautiful. I'm so glad to hear that, Sue. Doing a little better. Wanda said it's been a heavy morning. You had some therapy today. Well, good for you, my friend. Good for you, right? The only way out is through. Not always fun or pretty. I can vouch for that, right? And better out than in, I also say, right? A lot of the heaviness comes from we've been carrying so much of this inside and by ourselves for such a long time. So yeah, you guys are doing the hard heart work of healing, as I say. But today we are going to touch upon a topic that a couple of you, right, you were reflecting on our closed Facebook page. It's interesting to see a year ago, right, what has changed, what has shifted. I was also one of those who survived my childhood trauma by playing Little Miss Perfect, right? I always had a smile on my face. I'm fine. How are you? How can I help you? How can I take care of you? How can I go above and beyond so you don't ask me questions about how I'm really doing, right? It's a good strategy, but after a while, it doesn't work, right? After a while, it's like, oh my goodness. And what we really, really long for is to be seen and is to be heard and to know that we belong, not because of the doing, the busyness, right, of making other people feel good, but that we actually belong because of who we are in our hearts of hearts, that we can be our authentic self, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're going to talk about that today. Wanda, she says here, I actually went back and looked at what you wrote. And yes, how did that go? Was that interesting? Yeah, you actually did share a little bit about that here in our group. And for those that are watching, we do have a closed Facebook group. So if you want to learn more about that, where I share the page of the day, because this is a workbook, 365 days. That's what it takes when we're healing that hard, when we're excavating, right? Really pulling it out by the roots is going to take some time. So, right? Awesome. So glad that you guys did, that you went back and you saw what you wrote a year ago. It's nice to have that, to be able to go back and look at that. And so let me just set up our chat here, right? For years, I pretended, like I said, to be perfect and shiny on the outside, but underneath, I felt completely broken, unworthy of attention, care, or love, right? I expected people to discard me like damaged goods because of the child abuse, right, that I survived. I thought I was bad. Somehow, some way, all of it was my fault, which meant that I was no good at all, right? I had taken, yes, bad things happened, and I had turned it inward in a way that it wasn't just something that had happened to me, but I was inherently bad. And we talk a lot here about what that kind of shame, carrying that kind of shame, what that does to us. It actually, right, activates our nervous system. So it makes your biology and your body think it's being attacked. So a lot of the healing journey is to understand how we are being so hard on ourselves and how it is so important that we do best we can some days to tend to our hearts and to turn that around. Bad things happened. You're not bad. Separate those two, right? And so let me just say a few more things here, right? Perfectionism is a common symptom. Hey, Lori. Hey, friend. Common symptom of trauma and a powerful defense mechanism. Bad things happen. You weren't in control because you, right, and your young brain, you think you did something bad, just deserve it. Right? So following that logic, it's also a logical reaction for you to become the person always in control. Hey, Cindy. Hey, friend. Always in control in their lives, and the person who does everything perfectly, right? Way above expectation or standards, never making mistakes. Because a little mistake, right, might make someone upset or angry, and those could turn into something more that harms us. So perfectionism feels safe, but it's also exhausting to maintain. I've mentioned that already, because we are attempting to achieve the unachievable. No one can be perfect. And it was actually quite a bit of a relief when I recognized, right, my authentic self, right? I kept trying to put myself into boxes. I'm supposed to be like that, right? And yes, we live in a culture that is constantly pushing standards. You know, you're not good enough or pretty enough or successful or what, unless you do it that way, right? So no wonder. So once we realize we can't be perfect, that you can't be in control of everything, most importantly, that you are safe now, right? That we have people in our life who will accept you, and it's okay to make mistakes. Whew, right? That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's when we can step off that hamster wheel, right? Whew, and take a deep breath. Breathe in that beautiful, gentle air and walk our path however you want it, right? Your life, your journey, imperfect, unique, and free. That's my vision for you, right? That we take our power back. I am here to learn about me. What makes me tick? Makes my heart sing, as I say. So the two questions that we're asking today, and if you're not in our group, would love to hear your comments, or if you have questions. Hey, Cindy, I think I see you over here too. Glad that you're here with us. So the two questions: in what ways do you pretend to be perfect on the outside? Because I know I'm not the only one, right? And what is your perfectionism hiding, right? What ways do you pretend to be perfect on the outside, and what is your perfectionism hiding, right? So I have a few of our group members that commented and gave me permission to share their comments. And yesterday, a few of you guys here in our mindfulness class that we're going through this week and these last few weeks, and after yesterday's session talking about self-compassion and kindness, right? And why it's important, right? And that butts up against that perfectionism and that inner critic, right? My daughter and I had a really long heart-to-heart conversation afterwards. So it was beautiful. So pulling back the layers one piece at a time, that's all we can do. That's all we can do. So, and celebrate those aha moments when we have them. So Wanda gave me permission to share. She shared with us that I think this was one of the scariest questions for me last year. But it also was the day I began to trust each one of you truly. My answer left me feeling very vulnerable. And a year later, I still don't like this question, especially since I am in a vulnerable place right now. But hey, here goes. Yes, my friend, here goes. And we got you. We got you. She says, on the outside, I pretend that everything is great, that I'm capable of handling the chaos in my life when in reality, it has me against the ropes most days. Many times I'm feeling very alone and lonely, but on the outside, I am laughing, smiling, and checking on everyone. I hear you, my friend. She goes on to say, I believe I am hiding that hurt little girl that just wants to be held and rocked and told that she is safe. No one is going to touch or hurt her again. That's beautiful, Wanda. I'm just dropping into my heart right now here, my friend, and just sending you love. And just if anybody wants to chime in here to validate Wanda, if you can relate to her feelings or her thoughts. It's hard when we feel vulnerable. It's hard when we feel, right, things are chaotic, when that things are out of our control. It can feel very hard, very uncertain. And then our mind doesn't often help, right? Because that's where things start to spin. But I'm hearing so much clarity, my friend. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue. You are not alone, Wanda. Right? Thank you. Hey, Tina. Hey, friend. Glad you're here. Oof. Right? And we have become so good at this, right? We are so good at this, right? But what we are all learning, right, is that by slowing things down and understanding sometimes that what feels like chaos is because that mind has kind of taken us on for a ride, right? And so to come back to our bodies, feel grounded in this moment. And like you said, you have such beautiful clarity, recognizing that this may be coming from a hurt little girl in there that sits inside, right? And that wants to be held, that wants to be told she's safe, and that no one is going to touch or hurt her again. So I'm running my hands down my arms here, right? This is how we give ourselves self-compassion, warmth, kindness. And if we can slow down our voice and our breath, because your body is listening, your inner child is listening, right? And even when it's hard and we are unsure, we can still tell our bodies, I am here, I am showing up, doing the best I can, I'm feeling alone right now, not sure how to connect, but I am here, and I'm gonna do my best to continue how to figure this out, how to be here for you, sweet body, how to be here with you, beautiful little girl inside, and how to continue the connecting with my heart. And you are doing it right now, Wanda, right? By showing up, right? To choose social engagement. That's you helping your nervous system and your mind to down-regulate. I have a little puppy that I'm watching, not puppy, but Roxy. It's right here, my daughter's dog. It's gonna be okay, she's coming back. My daughter went to play tennis, and so she's walking back and forth. I don't know if you can see her nose here, but she's a rescue dog, so it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, sweet girl. So I learned to speak to her the way I speak to my inner child. It's gonna be all right. So thank you, sweet Wanda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We see you, we hear you, we got you, my friend. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that you can still hear me. Please give me a heads up. But we were also having trouble with our internet connection yesterday. So please let me know. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do to make this work. But Cindy, yes, holding and rocking and telling my grandbabies that I love them and will always protect them helps me to feel safe and loved. Yes, exactly, right. And if you don't have grandbabies, if you have fur babies, right? And if you don't have fur babies, I'm gonna stand up, grab my inner child, right? You can find yourself a little version of yourself, right? Learn to love ourselves. Well, I'm glad that you're here, Donna. Glad that you checked in. Good. I'm glad the sound is good on your end there. So thank you, sweet Wanda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for that comment, Cindy. Appreciate that. Janet shares with us. She says, my perfectionism is currently showing up in how much I criticize myself. I have never allowed myself to make mistakes without feeling total shame for not being perfect. Again, Janet, me too. You are not alone. It gets easier. But she goes on to say, if I feel emotional or sad as often I do, I will wonder what's wrong with me, rather than give that little girl some love and understanding. Learning to, yes, exactly. Learning to allow those scary emotions, which actually also include happiness, right? Just feeling in general, right? Yep. She says, is where I am right now, and telling the critic that we don't need her in that way anymore is addressing the critic, addressing the perfectionism in me. She says, I hid and I stuffed it all for so very, very long. It is so much easier for me to be kind to others than myself. Yes, my friend. We hear you, right? I'm seeing a lot of yeses here. Exactly. We hear you. We feel you. We do understand. And it is important that, I know we're doing our best, right? So if you hear any shoulds coming from me, please remember, yes, I definitely hear you, says Sue. I'm not saying shoulds, right? Okay, so your internet is only hearing every other word. So, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I may be over on Periscope. Maybe the sound is better there. So, but I will have to go check and see what's going on I haven't gotten any notifications on the internet settings today, but I did a couple of days ago. Thank you, Sue. The sound may be better on Periscope because I got Periscope here, YouTube here, and my monitor over there. So, okay. Thank you, Sue. That's good to hear. So to understand, right, where the drive with the perfectionism comes from, right, is that inner critic, that voice that is constantly pushing us on us, right? So once we can hear it, turn the volume up on it. No worries, Lori. Right? And we can understand also that perfectionism and that in working relationship with our inner critic, right? They're trying to keep us safe. They're doing their best to fight for us. But it is a coping strategy that is not working anymore. It might have been helpful when we were younger, but as we are recognizing how toxic it is to our biology, to our nervous system, like that we are constantly attacking ourselves, and that's where the exhaustion comes from. And then, right, to navigate, wait a minute, what is it to be kind to myself? Again, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. So we are learning and practicing, right? One breath, one self-compassionate moment at a time, right? Choosing that over and over and over again, because we now know that that is important to our integration of our new beliefs about ourselves, our new way of feeling about ourselves, right? It's not going to just be the mental exercise. It's to really feel it, right? And that's, I know, the hardest part. How do we embody this new knowing about ourselves? And that's the process, the daily loving kindness action piece. And that can be self-care, right? That can be tending to yourself, right? And that's, if I'm putting in a little plug, that's why I'm excited about, the self-care community that I'm starting for you guys, right? For those who are looking for not just the mental aspect of healing, but also the self-care, the mental, the physical. How do we really learn to be mindful and take care of our bodies? So, because I see these things coming hand in hand, so important. I hear you, Donna. I think the World Cup energy is disrupting everything. I hear you. I hear you. That's funny. I'm loving that soccer ball, Sue. Loving that soccer ball. It was hard today with Scandinavia and US playing. I'm like, who do I root for? I wanted both teams to do well since I'm Icelandic, right? It was a great game. It was a good game. So thank you, Janet. Thank you so much for your sharing, my friend. I can see you got some loving, kind comments. So Sue shared with us today. She says, all my life, I wanted to be accepted, acceptable, but somehow I never was. So I would work hard. Hey, Angela. I would work hard, conform, and keep the rules, trying my hardest to be the perfect child I was expected to be, right? It starts early. She goes on to say, trying not to upset my parents, wanting to be the good girl, but it was never, ever enough. And I've kept on trying pretty much all my life, desperately planning ahead to avoid every risk of getting it wrong and working hard to reach the expectations of perfection that by now I had of myself. And actually, that also tended to lead to my expecting similar standards of everyone else, which didn't make me very popular. I hear you, my friend, right? It's an interesting aha when we realize not only the standard we put on ourselves, we're also projecting onto others, right? And we sometimes don't even know we're doing it, right? We just want people to behave and do as they're told. Well, if I have to follow the rules, you have to follow the rules, right? So, yeah. And even resentment, that how do you dare to do or follow your heart or do what you want to do when I'm not allowed to? And that's, right, imposed internally by yourself, right? So I hear you, Sue, right? And then we maybe don't understand why people respond to us the way maybe they do. Maybe they push back. And like I said, it was brutal when I figured out, oh my gosh, I'm a control freak. And it was not fun or pretty, what I put on other people, especially my family expectations. It was exhausting. Sue goes on to say, she says, I see last year I felt this was hiding a deep sense of worthlessness, and that if people saw that I was what I was really like, they would reject me because I felt inside that I was just wrong and bad. Right? I know that one, Sue, right? These days, I don't feel that way. I can accept that I will never be perfect and I don't have to try. And that is liberating. Yet, the effects of perfectionism can be subtle and hard to shift. And at times, I still find myself dealing with the oughts and the shoulds, right? And planning ahead to control as much of life as I can to avoid risks and failure. But I am slowly learning to be more aware of it and to be gentler with myself, reminding myself that I am safe, I am good enough, and I am doing the best I can. Yes, my friend Sue. Yes, you are. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. You are doing a beautiful job. Absolutely, right? And to recognize those signals, right? Because something arises inside of us, right? And that's it. Part of coming and slowing things down and reconnecting with our bodies is actually to start to feel when something starts to get tight. I need that as a tattoo reminder. I hear you, right? Like a tattoo somewhere. I'm good enough. I hear you, my friend Tina. You are not alone. You are not alone, right? And that's kind of the beauty of the journey. When we slow things down, we learn to kind of catch ourselves, because one thing leads to another, right? Cindy says here, yes, I always felt that if people got to know the real me, they wouldn't like me. I haven't thought about that in years. There you go. That's good. Yes, I used to feel that way for a long time, right? And I would be keeping track of conversations, right? Well, what if I say this? Will they use it against me? I better not share that because they won't like it. And if they really get to know me, yeah, for sure, they will not stick around, right? So, yep, exactly. Thank you, right, Sue? You had to hide, but not now, thankfully. Exactly. Right, Sue? Yeah, those sticky notes. That's it, Tina. That's been my go-to. I have rainbows of sticky notes, and sometimes they're quite big. But when there's something that I really need to remember, I will put it next to the door or on the bathroom mirror, on the microwave, on the refrigerator, inside of the bathroom door, or where I, go to take up my makeup or my toothbrush. So it's like I'm literally bumping into it. It's like until I remember, it's like new way of thinking or feeling. So, and so much of it, exactly, Sue. That's a little, I hear you, Tina. That's my agenda, Sue. And now I'm coming clean. My family isn't here. No, I'm kidding. But posting things is like, I'm hoping they will read this too, right? But here's the thing, right? It was actually when I changed that all of a sudden, like once I started handing my little girl, my needy, desperate, hurt, distrustful, revengeful, angry little girl, I would hand her to my husband, right? When I stopped and I started to attend to her, right? All of a sudden he was different, right? When I stopped expecting him to love her, it was my job, not his, right? And she didn't want anything to do with him. It's like, stop handing me to that guy. I don't like him. He's your husband, not mine, right? It's like, oh, I get it. It's my job to love her and to protect her and make sure she feels safe. And then, right, when I learned to take care of those things instead of expecting them from him, or I started to deal with why I felt so out of control. And here, I stopped putting that control onto my family. And all of a sudden, the energy just shifted. And I know I've told you guys that story, right? Thank you, Cindy. Yes, that like around holidays and stuff like that, all these shoulds, right? These things were done, this is how holidays are supposed to look like. We're supposed to do this and this and this. And I was driving everybody nuts. It's like, why are we doing this? This isn't fun. And I wasn't enjoying it. So I'm like, why am I doing this? I became curious. I'm saying that because I was talking to somebody else today about being curious about ourselves and why we do things, right? And then to recognize, why? I'm going to be curious. What's driving these behaviors? What's driving these feelings? What was I thinking? What was the thought that led me to think that I have something to hide here, or that I'm not allowed to speak the truth? And when, I end up feeling crappy about myself, oh, I have to hide. Right? I better not disclose too much because, people won't like it. They will reject you, right? They'll find out you're a fraud, all that. So, yes, sweet Sue, slowly learning to become aware of it, right? All the moving parts in here. Take better care of it, the body, so we can, all right, sweet body. All right, I can feel that little girl in here. What does she need? Nope, not asking you to be perfect. Nope, you're not bad. Nope, you're not in trouble. I hear you. I see you. I'm grateful for you. Yes, Lori, right? We love Sue. And we love and appreciate all of you, every single one of you here. And if you are listening to this, if any part of you is intrigued or curious by this conversation, just saying that made my heart sing. And you are in the right place, right? Because you are worthy of love and kindness and respect and belonging. And for so many of us that never knew what that looked like, what that sounded like, was that even safe? Right? That we were just, right? We were trying to be perfect to fit in. No. Right? Let's be authentic and to realize we do belong. We do belong. You guys are silly. Oof. This made my heart sing, my friends. This made my heart sing. So I so appreciate you guys being so courageous, so vulnerable, sharing from the heart, right? Because each time you do, you have no idea, right? Who you are helping, who you are giving insight. Who, like you writing your words helps somebody else seeing, oh my gosh, I thought this was just me. I just thought this was just my experience. So being courageous and sharing vulnerably from our heart always opens up space for connection. And I hope you guys feel that in this space. We do have a few more minutes. If anybody else has some comments or questions on what we're talking about, right? How do you play Little Miss Perfect, right? What are we hiding? Curious that, right? Exactly. Well, maybe that's a question we should put out there. Oh, she did. Thank you. I didn't see Donna's comment, so let me refresh. Thank you, Sue, for giving me a heads up. There it is. Thank you. All right. Before I share the card I drew for us today, which is always perfect, Donna says, living with a learning challenge makes one very humble. Oh, did I say humble? That's my euphemism for ashamed. I hear you, Tina. Thank you. I hear you, Tina. Thank you for that. I'm going to finish Donna's comment, but thank you so much for sharing that. I hear you, Donna, right? That's how you, right? Feeling ashamed. However, the upside here is that I've never deceived myself, not even once, that perfection was my orbit. If there is a mistake to be made, I am first online. However, my mother is a perfectionist. She calls it being a striver. I call it crazy making. I call it crazy maker. She says, on occasion, she still comes into my home and tells me, how many times have I told you? Fill in the blank, right? Insert the name of any object. Goes here, not there. Lucky for me, I can laugh at her over the top, ridiculous behavior. Sometimes I actually mark the offending misplaced object with a duct tape, and that makes her happy. The only place perfection shows up in my life is when I need to complete a job of any kind. I can't seem to stop working until the job is done. On multiple occasions, I've suffered full autoimmune breakdowns and lupus flare-ups. The irony is there are no reward. And when others quit, I find myself being judgmental. My heart feels compassion for perfectionists. Beating yourself up for an impossible dream and making others miserable along the way is not joyful for anyone. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Thank you, Donna. I hear you, right? Oh, that was me all over. And I can see why my daughter, who is in our mindfulness class, she's like, I like Donna. I'm like, yeah, I can see why you connect with. You guys can relate on some of these things. And yes, that used to be me. I was the crazy maker. Ugh. Right, Sue? And I know that one. Don't stop until the job is done, said my mother. Yes. Yes. So much here, my friend. So much here. But you are right. Beautiful awareness here, right? You are recognizing how it's impossible, right, to strive for perfection, and you're becoming aware of how, right, your need to complete, to go above and beyond, right, at your expense, personal expense, right? Whew. And right, when others quit, I find myself being judgmental. Yes, I hear you on that one, right? I hear you, right? It said if other people do, we wouldn't dare to do. Like our standards, we oppose our standards on other people. And then we judge them. What do you think? What do you mean you're going to quit? That's not an option. Then you're bad. Yes, be loyal to the end, the very end. Yes. That's great, Donna. Yes, my friends, right? You guys can see how these behaviors have played out in our lives, right? So how can we slow down? right? How can we come back into the present moment, right? Right here, right now. What's really going on? What is an appropriate reaction to what's happening out here based on what I know and my truth and how I take care of myself and how I honor myself and how I have boundaries. Exactly. Learning, learning, learning. Right? Exactly. And the learning is in the doing, right? In the practicing that, okay, I don't know about this hooey wooey being kind to yourself. I don't know about that. Having a stuffed animal to hold and talk to. Are you nuts? What the heck? You are weird. But again, it's about separating how we think about ourselves and feel about ourselves, right? This is it. This is you, right? No matter what happens, you are inherently good. Behaviors, thoughts, feelings, just information flowing up and through the system. But if we believe it or attach to it, and then we are responding to the world, right? Out through those filters. Our standards, we job done or stop if you're dead. Yes. Oh, I hear you. And I'm glad that we have a little sense of humor about this because we have to. We have to, right? And that's part of it. We grew up really fast. We had to be serious way too soon. Not much joy, not much play. So now we can see, okay, here I go again, right? So add a little humor. Exactly, exactly. Thank you, Donna. This was beautiful. Beautiful. You're doing a beautiful job, my friend. I love your curiosity. Love your questions. Still hard to take a break before I've finished something. Yeah. And again, be curious. I wonder why it's hard. I wonder why it's hard for me to take a break before I've finished something. Who am I waiting for to show up to criticize me, right? Or to telling me off, or when this is something I'm doing. I'm the adult here now. New buzzword, yes. And I was about to say, before I went on to share a little more here, before I saw that Donna had shared her comments too, I was about to put it out there. What does curiosity mean to you? Sue and I talked about this earlier today, right? To be curious, is something is happening. There's movement, there's energy. You're open for something, right? There's a possibility that being curious, you open up a possibility for something new, that there's something you don't know. So maybe just think on that a little bit. So yeah, and to me, curiosity is also love, right? To me, that's like, it's kindness, it's hopeful. I'm going to be curious. To me, that's light. That's not, look, well, I'm going to, criticize I'm going to judge myself here. Exactly, Sue, right? It's like, what do you make that mean? That's what that means to me. But for a long time, right, being curious and asking why, I drove people crazy, but it has served me well. I'm freaking relentless. But now I use that relentless for good. Exactly, Wanda, I hear you. Stop being so curious about everything. Go sit down, right? Don't be nosy. You're asking too many questions. That's like you denying that life force that is here to drive you forward, to learn. Our innate love for learning is what the human condition is all about. We are here to experience things, feel things, to be curious, get in the dirt, right? I hear you. I hear you, Wanda. If you get in trouble for asking why, those are not your people. Not your people. Because I love your whys, and a lot of people here love your whys. And I see that's what drives all of you here, right? It's that spark. Why? I want to know why. So hang on to that why. We're celebrating why. Woo, woo, woo. And on that note, right, the card for today, one day she woke up and counted her whys, counted her blessings. Right? Keep asking why. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Exactly. Why and how. Exactly. Thank you, Cindy. Why equals learning. And don't even get me started, right? Our education system in so many Western countries, right? We don't want kids asking why. We just want them to be filling in the worksheets, fill in the blanks. Don't think for yourself. Just do as you're told. Follow the rules, right? No creativity. Most of the arts and, the movement and music, and it's been taken out of schools in so many places. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I think a lot of young people are struggling because of it. Don't have exactly, Cindy, right? We've taken away their ability to trust and to listen and follow that thread of exploration and creativity and thinking outside of the box, right? So that's a whole nother live stream. No, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, my oldest, whom so few of you have met, she's like, yeah, Mom, I just got really good at like accommodating the teacher. She was very good of her people skills. And I think because of her trauma, she was very good at connecting with the professors, all through her school years and to please them. And that's how, right? I mean, and studying was easy for her. She had that to her advantage too. Um, so, and yeah, I'm not even going to start. Taught to just accept if said with enough authority, dangerous. Yes. Yes, I hear you, Sue. I hear you. So I'm glad we're all on the same page there, my friends. So, my people, right? My people. So, anyway, sweet friends, thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Cindy. I'm glad you're here. We missed you yesterday. So good to be with you. And remember, again, we will be here next week, Tuesday, Thursday, same time, same place. No, your curiosity is on a roll. You keep going. You keep going. I'm not going to stop you. So if this conversation was helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up here on YouTube or share this broadcast on Twitter or Facebook and over here on Periscope. I appreciate the hearts. So appreciate you guys sharing. Remember, You can always comment below the video if you have an insight that maybe helps somebody else. You're welcome. You're welcome, welcome, welcome. And again, to anybody who is watching the replay or catching us here on the tail end, remember, we are working our way through my book one day, one page at a time. We have a beautiful community. I was just bragging about you guys today to someone who was looking for a safe place, encouraging them to come and be a part of the love that we share freely here. Because healing, like I said, is hard at times, and it's easier when we know we are not alone and there is a place where we can feel like we belong. And let me just remind everybody here, right? You already have everything that you need to heal and restore. You do, you do, you do, my friend. You do. And we and I believe in you always. With that, have a good night, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of the evening. Have a beautiful weekend. Do something that sparks joy, right? Whatever form that is for you. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care. Bye now.